The colder months are perfect for a warm bowl of comforting soup. Butternut squash is my favorite, and today I'm going to show you how to add some oomph to yours and cook it the That House way. I'm going to start by peeling and cutting the squash. Peel off this one other layer. I'm gonna peel this and reveal this beautiful orange flesh. Now we need to slice it. Now this can be a bit tricky because the butternut squash is a pretty hard vegetable, so be careful. All right, we have the two halves. So you see all the seeds here? I'm gonna take all these seeds out and then I'm gonna chop it into 1-inch cubes. Going to start this off by adding some ghee to the pan. 2 tablespoons is what works best. Now the ghee is hot. Now I'm going to add in whole spices. I have cinnamon, black cardamom, and cloves. Smells fragrant now. I'm going to add in the garlic. Stir it for 10 seconds or so and then add in your chopped up butternut squash. Trying to get some color on the butternut squash and infuse the flavor of the spices into it. Going to add some salt at this stage. I've left the garlic cloves whole because I'm going to blend this whole thing anyway. It also prevents the garlic from burning. We're getting some nice color on the butternut squash. That's great. That adds a lot of caramelized flavor to the soup. Now I'm going to cover it and cook it for a few minutes. This is the kind of color I'm looking for. This is going to add a ton of flavor to your soup. Now that we've gotten this color, I'm going to add in some chicken stock. You can add vegetable stock if you want. This was frozen chicken stock in my freezer from the other day, so I'm just going to dump it all in. There's a little bit of ice in it, but that's okay, it's going to melt. I'm going to increase the flame to medium, cover it, bring it to a boil, and then let it simmer for as long as it takes. It's been about 15 minutes. I'm going to check if the squash is cooked. Yeah, this is perfectly cooked. So now what we're going to do is turn off the stove, pick out the whole spices because we don't want to blend them, and then I'm going to blend this soup. I think I got all of the whole spices out of this soup. They've imparted their flavor into the soup. We certainly don't want to blend them because then it's going to get really overpowering. If you don't have an immersion blender, you're gonna let this cool and then blend it in a regular blender. I think it needs a little bit more salt and we're good to go. Now I'm going to make the tempering for the soup. Tempering is essentially heating up spices in a warm fat. I'm using ghee for this. This is what adds oomph to your butternut squash soup. So if you want to add that extra flavor, definitely try this out. I have this tiny pan which is specifically for tempering, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of ghee into this. We don't want too much, we just want a little bit to carry the flavor of the spices. Now that the ghee is melted and slightly warm, as you can see here, we don't want it smoking, we don't want it to be too hot, we just want it to be a little bit warm. Now, what I have here is a Bengali 5-spice, and I have whole red chilies. This adds this wonderful type of flavor to this dish. I'm gonna let these spices bloom. You can see that the heat is not very high. We just want to bloom these spices and bring out their flavors into this ghee. And the way you know that the spices have released their flavor is that the red chili becomes bright red, like you can see, and the fenugreek seeds that were yellow turn this dark orange color. Now take a look, these fenugreek seeds are dark orange in color now. I'm gonna turn the stove off, going to save some of this, and I'm going to pour the rest of this directly into the soup and give it a nice stir. I'm ready to serve my butternut squash soup. Let's see how it turned out. Smells so good. I serve it with a little drizzle of cream. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the spices from the tempering that we made. Just a little bit to add that punch right at the end. And there we have it. Butternut squash soup, that house style. All right, let's see what this tastes like. I'm gonna mix it up. So delicious. I can taste all of the whole spices that I infused the stock and the ghee with, and I can also taste the spices that I added at the end as tempering. It's delicious.
My turn, let's try it. This really, quite literally, pardon the pun, spices up butternut squash soup.